We're back to the Beach Lifestyle celebrity segment on the Total Tutor Show. I'm the host of the show, Neil Haley, and I'm really excited to welcome the program. Again, my first ever New England Patriot, but if you're going to talk about a superstar, you're going to talk about a 3-time Pro Bowler, 3-time Super Bowl champion. I want to welcome the program, Matt Light. Matt, how are you?
I'm doing great.
So really excited. So basically, we can kind of talk about the story of your career in the first segment, then go to the foundation, which we really like to highlight. But, Matt, how did you get involved with football? Was it something that was always came second nature to you, or just someone discover you?
You know what? I had to think back to, kind of Ohio, the area that I grew up in. I have to believe that it was just kind of the way that kids were raised back then. I mean, I think I look at it now. I have 4 kids of my own, and I see, kind of the different things that they get involved with, and there's far more opportunities and, everything else these days. But back then, I mean, look, you're a young kid, you're a young male, you're growing up, you played Pee-wee football. That's what you did, and that's what I did. And I like to, run around and hit people. So what better sport for my parents to say, yeah, we'll take you there.
So it's like in Ohio or Pennsylvania, if you don't play football, really, at one point in time, it's forget about it. It's pretty much the same deal, Ohio and Pennsylvania football. You're going to be involved in football in some sort of way, so you were involved in it. But when did you finally see, this might be a career?
Well, you know what? I think that comes different for everybody. For me, literally play the game because I loved it. It was always fun, like everybody else starts out. And then it wasn't until probably my junior year that, I started to get a little bit of interest from, letters showing up in the mail, coaches saying things, people coming by practice. But, look, I grew up in a very small farming community that, really I didn't have anybody I could look up to say, hey, I want to do what that guy did. There was a guy that had gone to Wittenberg that was a year ahead of me, who is now our head football coach. For the high school team back there now. But at the time, he was literally the only guy that I could look up to and say, hey, you've been there. You've been through this process a little bit. And so, for me, it was basically got this awesome opportunity to go play at Purdue and play in the Big Ten. And it wasn't until probably towards the end of my college career that I started thinking that the pros, could possibly be an option.
Very interesting. So basically, when you were in high school, you weren't saying, I'm going to be the superstar, 3-time Super Bowl champion. You never had that in your mindset. You were just playing football because you love football, it sounds like.
Yeah, and I think, honestly, everybody does it different, of course. Some guys grow up always, saying that they're going to be that guy or whatever it is, right? And that just wasn't me. I was so entrenched with, the way of life growing up in a small town and hunting and being outdoors and all that kind of stuff that, football was something that I really enjoyed. I was good at it, had success and all that kind of stuff. But I hadn't seen a professional game until I played in one. And that's even kind of college, First time I saw a college football game, I was playing in it. Same thing with the National Football League and any experience. The Super Bowl that I played in my rookie year was the first, time I had ever seen, I didn't see a halftime show, but, been a part of that whole process, So for me, it was all new as it was happening.
That's wild to know that. I guess that's why it's good we're learning about your background in outdoorsman when we're going to talk about it in the next segment. But I think that ultimately you were playing the sport, but yet it's not something you ultimately watched all the time, and you didn't get the opportunity and the experience of doing that. So you said you were a small town. How big was your high school, by the way?
You know what? Our town was the county seat. So, I graduated with, probably close to 280 kids in my class, which, a lot of people say that's a fairly sizable school, but it's the only school, in the area. So, when you put it in that perspective, again, it was a great community, a great town, a lot of pride in what we did and who we were. But we definitely didn't have the tradition of being a powerhouse in football. I'm not sure we won more than 4 games ever in a season. So, football was big, but, it definitely wasn't something that most of the kids grew up thinking, this is what I'm going to do, this is who I am.
So where in Ohio did you grow up? I forgot to ask you where that is.
Grew up in Greenville, Ohio, which is basically west central Ohio. My personal house was, not far from the border in Indiana. Actually had a guy, as far as other people from the area, Curtis Enos, who, went on to Penn State, played in the Big Ten. went to a school much smaller than ours, graduated with about 50 kids in his class, and was Mr. Football of Ohio. So, had a little exposure to the guys and kind of the lifestyle and things of that nature. But again, never really got into it. I was always more involved with, friends and family, the outdoors and things of that nature.
Very, very interesting. And so basically Greenville, Ohio's right on the border. So a small town, but yet big town in a way because there's no other high schools in the vicinity. So you went ahead and took the scholarship at Purdue. Was that a huge change for you just to be part of college football? And I mean, the atmosphere, especially Purdue at that time, and how big being in the Big Ten and the expectations and everything?
Yeah, it was. I mean, especially for a guy like me, I get there and as a true freshman end up, starting the tight end and playing the tight end position, which was completely new for me, and learning that, skilled side of it was interesting. But yeah, the whole transition was huge because we didn't really have, we didn't do anything like they do at the college level, obviously, but we didn't, train, the way a lot of schools train now at the high school level. So getting into a routine and going through the workouts and, just the physical demand that's put on you from a student-athlete perspective and everything else was quite a shock.
It definitely was in a way, and the playbook, and then the campus. It's a large campus at Purdue, and to be able to balance athletics and academics, and it seemed like you were a pretty strong-willed individual, being the outdoorsman and family. So academics were an important part of your life as well, right?
And that's where the decision came down to go to Purdue. I had a father, have a father that's been an engineer his entire life and run an engineering group, not far from our hometown. So definitely grew up with kind of that background, and Purdue was a no-brainer on that end. And really, honestly, the professors don't care who you are off the field, so to speak, or on the field. They just want to know that you're there to learn and you're going to get it all done. So it was very demanding, from that end of it. That side of the equation wasn't, and not having a major that, not to put any other majors down, but, having a major is very demanding with the labs and everything else. I mean, it took a lot of time, but, definitely something I took a lot of pride in, be able to graduate in 2000, with an industrial technology degree and kind of, have that and move on from that to go into the league, that was a very fulfilling experience all around.
So you were definitely what the NCAA would call a student athlete, sounds like. Not like, certain, and especially picking a university like Purdue, you have the expectations. That's you could basically do a talk on that alone to kids and say, you know what, when I went to Purdue, I was a student athlete, and student was the more important thing. Some of the universities aren't like that, and I'm sure you wish, especially when you were competing against some of those universities, we're not going to mention them, Matt, that the student was not part of the athlete component. So I think you were happy that you were in a place where that was the case.
Well, and look, I mean, everybody knows they're getting themselves into, many schools will not, they're going to throw the academic side of it. They're going to throw the student side out there, a lot. But at the end of the day, we all know that what's most important is the bottom line, winning games, and that's going to take precedence over anything else. It's just the opposite of Purdue from that model, and that is, look, we're going to make sure that this young man that's walking into this system is going to become as good an athlete as he can, and he's going to have the opportunities, and he's going to have the facilities and everything else at literally the top notch. You won't find a better place than Purdue when it comes to the facilities and the investment they put in there for their student athletes. But the other side of it is that, hey, we're going to be far more impressed with his ability or her ability to leave this university being able to hang their hat on a degree that, nobody can touch. Nobody can put it down. Nobody can say anything about it because, really the culture there is that you're going to work for everything you get on the academic side. Nothing's going to be handed to you. And I respected that, and I enjoyed that aspect.
Well, absolutely. It's something where you have that expectation, And that's amazing because I did not know about Purdue. So, Matt, that's great to look at universities where student is important, not just athlete, because, again, it gets a bad rap altogether, the whole NCAA, and then you never think of a school like that doing that. So that's a great, plug for Purdue University, and to say that, if you're choosing a school based on academics and athletics, it sounds like it's a good choice for you.
Yeah, it always starts at the top too. They got a heck of a president now. We had a heck of a president when I was there, and that directive comes from the top down. And really, even Coach Hazel and his new staff that's there this year, I can see from them already that that's not just something they say. They truly walk the walk.
Okay, so we go specifically from there, and we go into the whole situation with you finally see you're going to be an NFL player. What happens next, Matt? You basically know that you're going to be a possible NFL player. It's your junior year when you figured this out?
Yeah, I would say. I mean, look, we go and kind of laid an egg in the Outback Bowl. And soon after that, had a lot of, agents that were trying to make the contact, through a third party or however it works. And then, you're going into your senior year and you start getting, a lot more of attention from, the different publications and things of that nature. Look, I was lucky. I mean, I got to play with the Drew Brees of the world and, an offensive line that, literally gave up like 7 sacks an entire season, and, just with a great group of guys as a senior collegiate athlete that, we got a lot of attention. And so basically it went through the whole recruiting process from, the agent perspective and got to know that and started looking at it and saying, hey, this literally looks legit. And before I knew it, the draft was there. I actually trained in Pittsburgh for 2 months at the UPMC Center. So
wow.
Got a lot of familiarity with Oakland, stayed in Oakland, and, trained in the Pittsburgh area. My roommate in my first year at Purdue was a Purdue guy, the Zitelli family, and had two sons that played for Purdue from, the hard-working Zitelli family. Those guys are Pittsburgh through and through. And but anyway, basically went through that whole process, got ready for the draft, went into the draft feeling great, and got picked up, midway through the second round. So. Great experience overall.
Well, absolutely a great experience. And now your dream that was really not a dream, but I guess a shock in certain ways. You never thought in your whole life to say, I'm going to play in the NFL, especially when you never watched a live game in the NFL. So basically take us into this process. You get drafted and then you go to the NFL and you see, I honestly believe what helped you, Matt, to be such a successful player is I hear about how important it is to have the NFL brain and to understand things how they work. And especially in a workmanship position that you played in the NFL, it really helped to be a Purdue grad. Wouldn't you agree? Especially going into the Belichick system.
Well, I mean, I think anytime it's your cerebral or you take, that approach first and you're willing to put the work in, I mean, that suits itself well to Bill's system and, the Patriot way and everything else. But look, I mean, I came into an organization that, again, I wasn't versed on, the history and everything else, as some guys were, but I walked into it looking at it and saying, this is a great opportunity. I mean, the first impression was this is the worst facility in the world, but they're building a new one, so I felt pretty good about that. But, I looked at it and I said, hey, look, here's a great opportunity. I mean, we got great owners. You can see that they're totally invested in, this team and what we put on the field and what we do off the field. And, they had a great, the first thing I did when I got to New England was, meet the Kraft family and see the work that they did within the community. And I just thought, this is so much more than what I really thought it would be. And then we go out and we had the success we had, year one, won a Super Bowl as a rookie, starting a left tackle, taking over for a guy in Bruce Armstrong that was one of the most, just well-respected linemen in Patriot history. I mean, it was a lot to digest, but it was all good stuff.
Okay, so when we get back, we'll go a little bit more into your career quickly and then go right into the foundation. You have a great story, Matt. Maybe you need to write a memoir someday because it seems like, especially when not many people have that kind of story for the NFL. You're listening to the Beach Lifestyle Celebrity segment on the Total Tutor Show, and we'll be back in just a moment. We're back to the Beach Lifestyle Celebrity segment on the Total Tutor Show. TotalTutor.net for more information. Twitter, Total Tutor, Neil S. Haley. Facebook. And we're with Matt Light. And, I mean, I would not have thought this, especially to hear about his story, hear about the student and student-athlete, and amazingly enough, getting to the Patriots and preparing and getting the right break. And before you know it, you become a Super Bowl champion. So that must have been unbelievable.
It was. I mean, we were talking about, another big transition, going from, a guy that was literally living, check to check, based on what the university would give us and, how we're going to scrounge up enough money to go out one night to, living that lifestyle, man. You're in the National Football League. You got a lot of attention. You have a lot of success. Everything's going well. I got a wife that, gave birth to our first child, months after the big game. So there was a lot to be thankful for, man. A lot to be proud of too.
Okay, so let's go specifically from there. So you go on your career, 3 Pro Bowls, 3 Super Bowls, and when you decided life after football, were you ready? Did you say it's the time?
Yeah, look, I mean, I was fortunate, my 11-year career, played in the Super Bowl 5 times, lost the AFC Championship game, once. I mean, did it every way you could do it. I mean, won it every way you could win it, lost it every way you could lose it. First round of the playoffs, second round of the playoffs, AFC Championship game. I mean, you name it. I mean, I just was able to do it with, some of the best guys on the planet I was able to, play the game with. So that was, all in all, a great career. And I looked at, the lockout season and that freedom that, we all enjoyed as players, which, wasn't free. I mean, it definitely cost us a lot. But, I looked at that time and I said, this is what real life's about, and this is doing it on your own and not having all those comforts of, the clubhouse and everything that's in the locker room and all the assistance that you get, from training and everything else. And I said, man, I'm going to give it one last shot. Played my 11th season, darn near won it all again, and was satisfied with, kind of where I was at in life and ready to, turn the page and go on to something bigger and, maybe better. Who knows?
So basically life after football led to this foundation. So tell us about the Matt Light Foundation and how surprisingly enough that once you get to work running a foundation, being involved in these other things, retirement doesn't seem like retirement. As you said, you're busy as can be.
Yeah, it's been an amazing process, going on year 2 of, being out of the league, this second season now, where I haven't played and, definitely settling into life after football. And the foundation was something that, look, after winning the Super Bowl in 2001, 2002, we formed this foundation and man, it's just transformed into something absolutely incredible. It's a thing I'm probably the most proud of in my life, and the work that we do and the partnerships that we've forged over the years and the impact that we've been able to make, it's just been unbelievable to watch. And anybody that works with kids and anybody that works with kids the way we do and is for a longer period of time as we have, look, it's like anything else. It's tough at times. It's challenging. There's days you wonder why you keep doing it, but the reward is always there somehow, some way. And like I said, man, it's just something I'm truly passionate about. And we get kids in the outdoors. I mean, it's hard to put it in a nutshell. MattLightFoundation.org gives you a lot of information, but, we've got programs upon programs and programs that, really get to the heart of what these kids go through. And it's not a one-hit wonder. We don't host a camp or do something for one day. I mean, we get these kids in the fold, in some cases, for 4 years, and you really get to know them. And, they put a lot into you, and you put a lot into them. And, at the end of the day, you walk away from it saying, you know what, we've made an impact in his life. And man, he's made an impact in mine. And that's something that you don't pay for that. You got to experience it.
Okay, so you said you started the foundation about 2001, 2002. The process when you first looked to start the foundation, I guess we already know from your first part of the show why the outdoors. You love the outdoors. So putting that together to help kids, what a great mix.
You know, it is. And listen, I mean, it's an awesome responsibility to do a lot of the things that outdoorsmen do. You know, I use the outdoors because I've never heard anybody that walks outside and says, man, this sucks. You know, take a big, deep, breath of air and you've been sitting in an office all day. I mean, human beings long to be outdoors, and so many of us don't get the opportunity to do that. And even in my day-to-day life, you get so busy with sitting behind a desk or doing office-type work. Getting back to the roots of what really inspires me of being outdoors and sharing those experiences with young people and showing them a different way and using that to teach them lessons about responsibility and ethics and accountability and ultimately how to become leaders within their own communities and their own circles. That's just something that came naturally. And, man, we exploit the heck out of it, and it's really worked. And like I said, it's an awesome responsibility to go out and shoot a bow and arrow if a kid's never done it. And they'll do anything. I mean, they'll stay in line. If I say, I'm going to take that away if you guys keep messing up, they're going to get in line. And it's a good incentive, but ultimately it's just a great teaching tool.
So you think that you develop structure and discipline through the outdoors because it really teaches you patience, first of all. It also teaches you the ability to think on your feet because to survive in the outdoors is not always the easiest thing in the world. And it ultimately gets rid of some of the comforts of home and to understand adversity, right? Would you say all those things really are part of the foundation in ways?
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head, and I think getting them outside their comfort zone is a big one. Look, you arrive from, I think back to one of our groups from Tennessee, and we had these 4 young men that arrive in the middle of nowhere, Ohio, cornfields all around them, woods, crazy sounds, mosquitoes, ticks, all the stuff that you enjoy as an outdoorsman. They're literally sitting there just wondering, how in the world did I ever get myself into this? And 2 days later, you see them come out of their shell. And, 2 years later, you see them just truly enjoy every moment that they're in camp, around all their people. And it's a safe place and it's a sacred place. And it's everything you mentioned and then some.
Wow. So what types of kids are involved in the foundation? Which ones do you look at to work with? Are they areas that have never been outdoors before? A lot of times the kids you're finding to be involved in this?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's an interesting one, too, and how we view it's probably a little different than other organizations. But we really, we target these kids. I say that they might have set the house on fire, but they didn't burn it down. My clinical term is knucklehead. But what I really like to say is that, look, we go after these kids that teachers and guidance counselors and people that run organizations like the Boys and Girls Club and any after-school program, the ones that actually work with them, they would look at you and say, this kid isn't a bad kid, or he's a decent kid, but, he needs to have a little direction, needs to have somebody in his life. It needs a program like yours to really keep him on track, because a lot of these kids are from single-parent homes, lower, socioeconomic background. I mean, it's just a lot of things that a lot of people suffer from, and they're not all like that. It wouldn't be a blanketed statement to say that, all of our kids are like this, and they're all from the inner city. Some of them aren't, some of them are. And, the best part about that is you get all these kids from all these various backgrounds. You put them in the middle of the woods, bring them in from all over the country, not just one area, and they all realize that, hey, man, we all suffer from the same things, and we all view life the same way in some ways, and we're different in others, and it just really works. The model really works. So
tell me some success stories of your program since you started it.
Well, I look at each and every kid that we work with, and I say somewhere there's a success. Now, in saying that, we've had many kids that haven't been able to fulfill some of the different programs, and we have many different programs. But the one that I always key in on, and the one that we really that I take pride in all of them, but the one that I really enjoy is our leadership camp. It's called Camp Vahoicus, and it's where we bring these kids in. They spend 4 years in our program. We make a big commitment. They make a big commitment. And at the end of the day, you see these wide-eyed, somewhat troubled, just riddled with all kind of little holes from, things in their life that have been difficult that they had to overcome or hadn't been able to overcome. And 4 years later, they walk away making great decisions, having a game plan for life, staying in contact, asking to come back and become counselors, and just really taking the right steps. And when you see that happen firsthand, and again, you've built that relationship over years. And we built that relationship over years. I mean, you can't replace it. I mean, you can't. It's so hard to find that in other things. And when you see it firsthand, I mean, that's a success story. I mean, you see that kid go from, shy, awkward, maybe insecure, unsure of their future to really, truly having that game plan. It's awesome to see, man. Each and every time. Never gets old.
Well, and I'm sure the passion you have, Matt, especially when you got to retire, how much more hands-on you're involved in the foundation, right?
Yeah, it's great. I just got back from Ohio. We're back out here on the East Coast, and, we spend the whole summers there, and most of that time is working with these kids and running these camps. And, after 2 weeks in the woods, you look forward to having, air-conditioned home and the, comforts of the, quote unquote real world. But it's a magical time, man. It's an unbelievable just moment that we all get to share, and it is sacred, man. It's been great.
I taught at a leadership camp in Tunkhannock, Pennsylvania. It's right outside of in the Poconos, and without there was electricity, but a lot of the creature comforts weren't there, and I really learned a lot. And it really gets you to think about all they're just do is do activities, lots of fun activities, from sports to outdoorsmen and all these different things, where you're away from everything else, the television, all these things, and it really, the kids learn so much from this. I really believe that.
Yeah, you do, man. And it's from playing paintball and getting to shoot each other, with some paint, to, riding dirt bikes, and then doing career educational tours and camp projects and things like that. It's an experience that, these kids truly, they truly love it. And we do too, man. We get as much as they do out of it.
So Matt, what is your ultimate goal of the foundation? Where do you want to see it go?
Right now we're working hard to just really be able to long-term, and when I say long-term, I hope I mean, 7 generations of young lights to come, 100 generations, whatever it is, till the end of time, right? Let's think big here. But, put this foundation in a position where we will survive forever, because we have a system in which, we can win at all times. And that comes down to basically, going out there and continue to do the work we do, raise the money to fund how we do the things that we do, but always have this 600-acre facility open that not only we can use as a foundation, but we have so many other nonprofits that use it year-round. It's always booked. And to just continue that process and make sure that it's always there. So it's been, like I said, it's been a dream of mine and my family and all the people that have worked hard on it. So, we're going to make sure that, even when we're long gone, that this thing will be open and those opportunities will still exist. That's
fantastic. So where can our listeners donate and learn more about the foundation, Matt?
Oh, it'd be great. You know what? We've got a Donate Now button on our website, which is mattlightfoundation.org. And you can also check out, our programs, our events, and the different things that we do. We have one huge signature event that we have coming up. It's our celebrity shootout. This is our 9th year. It's an unbelievable event. It's where we really get all of our funding to do what we do, and it's basically getting all my former teammates and other local celebrities to come out and do a sporting clays tournament. We make things blow up. It's golfing with a shotgun. So between the events that we do and our website Donate Now button, that's how people can get involved and check out who we are and support what we do.
Well, Matt, best of luck to you. Love to have you back to tell us more about the foundation another time and ways that we can get involved. So thanks again for calling, Matt.
I appreciate it. All the best to you, and you know what? I'll even say I hope your Steeler Nation does well this season. They were always fun to go up against.
See, Matt, you're not playing anymore. You could say that. You would get a lot of heat if you're still playing for the Patriots. So thanks for calling. It was a lot of fun.
All right, boss.
Take care, man. Okay, bye-bye. You're listening to the Total Education Celebrity Show on the Total Tutor Network, and we'll be back in just a moment.